If you call yourself a conscious black person, it's time to get your ass up. It's time to step out in that field, because every second you sit on the sideline claiming that you're not a social media person, all you're doing is letting them control our narrative. You're letting them control the black image. And not only do they control the black image, they've gotten us to lose all sense of self-respect in the black community. We went from the auction block to 20v1s. They got us to do it for them. So at some point we have to wake up. We have to step out and make a change. Because Deontay Kyle said it best. If you call yourself conscious and so aware and getting all this knowledge, and you think everybody else is a fool, you're a fool for not going there trying to wake them up. You're a fool for not stepping out, using your new knowledge and your voice to raise the consciousness of people. Because the black identity has always, always, always been under attack from the beginning. So in this video, we're going to decode their strategy. We're going to talk about some modern parallels. And then we're going to go with 3 ways that we can reclaim the black image. Because as I always say, knowledge doesn't become wisdom until it meets practical application. Before I get into this, I hope y'all can tell what this is supposed to be. I hope it's self-explanatory this time. If y'all can't tell what it is, let me know in the comments. But in order to understand how they've destroyed the black image, we must first look back at slavery. Not specifically the practices that they used on us during slavery, because that could be a whole video in itself. But the Willie Lynch theory, or the Willie Lynch letter. If you're not aware, Willie Lynch was a slave owner in the British colonies in the East Indies. This was back in the 1700s. And in the 1700s, slave owners in Virginia, the U.S. colony of Virginia, reached out to Willie Lynch and asked him, how can we better control our slaves? Our slaves aren't listening to us, our slaves don't respect us, and we're losing a lot of them, having to beat them and whip them and kill them. How can we better control them? So Willie Lynch, he didn't just write a letter. Willie Lynch came over to America and gave a speech on how to better control your slaves. All the principles of his speech were based on division. He told them, you're trying too hard to control them when you need to make them control themselves. How can you make a slave fall in line for herself? By separating them, by making them hate each other, making them hate themselves, based on these 3 things. Now there's plenty more, like house slave versus field slave, but the 3 that he really focused on were gender, color, and age. If you can make a light-skinned person hate a dark-skinned person, even though they're literally the same, you're winning. Because now they're not going to be so focused on revolting, they're going to be so focused on holding each other back. Just like if you can make a young slave hate an old slave, the old slave's not going to want the young slave to get away. The young slave isn't going to want the old slave to escape. The old slave is going to want the young slave to wake up. And the main one that we're going to focus on for this video is our gender. If you can make the black man and the black woman hate each other, they'll never raise children that love themselves. They'll never raise a family that is aware of who they are, what situation they're in, their power. If the male and the female hate each other, if the man and the woman can't get along, they can never thrive in society. And that's in any society. So after the Willie Lynch letter was implemented, or the Willie Lynch speech was given, slavery was taken to a whole new level. He literally told them, you were too kind on your slave. You're too soft to your slaves. You need to make your overseers, the white overseers, look down on the slaves. You need to make some of the black slaves have a little power over the other slaves to make them hate each other. He taught them all of this in 1712. He implemented how to better train your slaves. Then in the 1960s, over 200 years later, might I add, the US government implemented a welfare system. To the first sound, that might sound like a good thing. That might sound like something that could benefit the community, especially the impoverished community, right? No, they implemented something called the AFDC, or Aid for Families with Dependent Children. Again, it might sound like a great thing, right? A lot of families with children, they're struggling to get by. Well, the first rule, the number one rule that they implemented with the AFDC was that if your father lives in the home, you're ineligible for any aid. You think that was a fucking accident? You think that was coincidence that they wanted to remove the father from the black home? So, like I said, this was in 1960. So at this time, not a lot of black men are getting jobs. Not a lot of black men can get jobs, I should say. And not only that, a lot of the women raising their children, they need help. Because how can I be a black woman in 1960 and expect to be successful and have to raise kids on my own? Well, the government will tell you, hey, make sure that father doesn't come back. Make sure he doesn't come around. We'll give you a little bit of money. We'll give you a little bit of food. And they re-implement this same shit with WIC, with SNAP, with EBT, with child support, especially child support. They incentivize fatherless households. Why would they incentivize fatherless households? Because, to quote Dr. Jawanza Kenjofu, they fear a strong black man and a conscious black woman united in purpose. Shout out to him, by the way, Dr. Jawanza Kenjofu. If you don't know, he's one of my favorite black activists who speaks on this topic. He wrote several books on this topic, including The Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. So shout out to him, may he rest in peace. He just passed away last April. How else do they destroy our black image and destroy any sense of self-respect in the black community? Through media campaigns. If maybe not in my generation, if you're too young to remember, but there used to be positive representation of black people on TV. From the Jeffersons to the Cosby Show, there were plenty of them. But what do? Strip Cosby and anyone of any credibility and market to us good times. That was the first show that showed being broke and being black is okay, as long as you're funny. As long as it's cool and you're having a good time, it doesn't matter about actually moving up in this world. That was strategically placed on our television, along with Maury, Jerry Springer, Steve Wilkos. And when niggas stopped watching that, they gave us reality TV, Real Housewives of Atlanta, all this other shit to basically re-implement the imagery of all the negative aspects of being black. We're not going to show you any black empowerment. We're not going to show you black lawyers, scientists, politicians. We're not going to show you that shit. We're going to show you women who have no sense of knowledge of themselves, no sense of self-respect, and we're just going to re-implement this shit 5 days a week. That's why it's on the TV still to this day. And then not only do they do that with our media, but they did a drastic shift in our music. If you're a little bit older than me, or if you just have a taste for older music, you know about NWA and Queen Latifah and a bunch of conscious rappers that pushed the movement of even Method Man, not anymore, but he pushed the movement of black consciousness, of waking up, of empowering yourself and not being a victim and a slave to the system. From fuck the police to what's the daily mathematics, things like that were not just to go against the system, but to let black people know we don't have to suffer. We don't have to stay down. But what did the white arm media do? They realized these niggas can't push music without us. We're the distributors. And if you're an underground musician, we're not going to push you. So you have to come to us. But the thing is, we're only going to push songs that push what narrative? Killing. Killing your black brother. Niggas who look just like you. Killing them for no reason. Keeping a switch on your gun, objectifying women. I mean, video vixen, do you think that was like accidentally a thing? Or niggas just decided one day that I just want a bunch of naked girls in my videos? This was strategically placed to show them that this is what black success looks like. Black women don't have any role in your life. All you should care about is money, guns, and drugs. And when you do care about women, it should only be in terms of hypersexualization. which is why they show no positive portrayals of women in music videos. And for my niggas, I still haven't watched Sinners, I ain't gonna lie to you. I had actually made plans to watch it and they fell through. I just took it as a sign that I'm not meant to be consuming that shit. Now, if you weren't able to tell, I'll just go ahead and let you know. This is supposed to be a black man holding a mirror and he's looking at his reflection. But in the reflection, all he sees is himself with devil horns, signifying all he sees is the worst version of himself. Anywhere you look in media and TV, you only see the worst depictions of what it means to be black. So why does that matter? Niggas told me I was writing too slow in the last video, so I try to speed it up. Our reflection is our responsibility. I'll say that again. Our reflection is our responsibility. So as black people, how do we take back our reflection? By first claiming our image. Reclaim. By reclaiming our image. Because I know now all we talk about is social media and the algorithm and it push what it pushes. But at the end of the day, we are the algorithm. We tell them what's cool. We tell them what are black people actually watching? What are black people consuming? So if we collectively decide to stop watching Vlad TV, stop supporting the Shade Room, stop supporting Say Cheese, stop watching 20v1s, stop watching Pop the Balloon, stop supporting all this shit that's just new age minstrelsy. New age depictions of black people in the worst light. They've gotten us to do it so much for ourselves that they don't have to even do it anymore. The second step to rebuilding the black image is rebuilding the black family. We have to not only incentivize, but encourage and apply black fathership. Not because, oh, black fathers are so hard to come by, we need a pat on the back. No, we need to start pushing long-term commitment. Start pushing marriage. Baby mamas shouldn't be cool. Having baby daddies shouldn't be cool. And I know a lot of it is because a lot of our black men are falling victim to the system of mass incarceration, of drugs, of thinking entertainment is the only way out. And then the women look at them because unlike any other race in America, the black woman is almost twice as successful financially as the black man. That was not by accident. I've already told you they incentivize removing the black man from the home. So if we can incentivize putting the black man back in the home and showing our children, showing our family that this is what it's about. Marriage is cool. Making marriage cool again, making long-term commitment cool again. And even if you have to co-parent, showing that co-parenting can be done within the household. Because at the end of the day, 80% of black children today grow up in a one-parent household. That's fucking terrible, and it was not by accident. The Bible tells us in Lamentations 5:3, our children, we have become orphans and fatherless, and our mothers are like widows. That doesn't mean that dad is dead, that dad is not in, but it means dad is not in the home. Dad is not there. So if they've strategically taken dad out of the home, just like in the Bible, any family without a two-parent household is doomed for failure. It's doomed. We're doomed from the beginning until we start implementing and rebuilding family values. And the third one, once you do these two, it will lead you ultimately to raise conscious children. I don't care what religion you are, but whatever it is, your children need to have a knowledge of self and understand that they need to be economically and spiritually conscious. So if you are Christian, your child needs to be reading the Bible with a layered understanding of what does it mean about me? How does this apply to my life? And what does this mean for me? And as your child grows up with a knowledge of self and a feeling of self-love, self-respect, and they're not watching any of the imagery that we talked about before that diminishes that self-respect, then your child should also be implemented to be economically conscious. Meaning your child should not be getting his first credit card at 20, 21 years old. These white families raise their children up with good credit from the age of 10. They're putting them as authorized users on the credit card. They're teaching them about life support, becoming your own life insurance, and becoming your own bank. They're teaching them about irrevocable trust. They're teaching them about high yield savings account, Roth IRAs, money marketing accounts. These are the type of things we should be implementing and teaching to our youth, teaching to our kids. And it means a lot more when the kids are learning this from a two-parent household, seeing that these people who love me and brought me into this world did it together. And they're showing me the way out, showing me the way to do it. So until we can reclaim our image, rebuild our family, and build conscious children, we'll always be stuck. Just like in Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. My people suffer for a lack of knowledge. So until we start giving this knowledge back to our youth, our generations that are coming up, we'll still be continuing to suffer. Because whether you know it or not, we are on the cusp of the second Black Renaissance. And you might not know it, but the fucking government knows it. Why do you think there's a new narrative every week to keep us stuck, keep us not talking about these type of things? So if you call yourself conscious and you think you're enlightened and you have a different understanding of the world, you're no different from niggas just like me. But just like me, I always said I'm not really a social media person. I might post some football pics, I might post some fit pics, but I'm not really posting shit on there. And at a certain point in time, you have to let that shit go. You have to wake up and want to help, want to give back. Because no one's coming for us. No one wants to see us succeed. So we have to want to. We have to implement these values. Step out, use your voice. Take that knowledge, turn it into practical wisdom for somebody who needs to hear it.